Hi, my name is Emily McNally, and you are watching my Zenith presentation. For a couple months actually, I've been planning to do my Zenith on animation because I've always wanted to look into it deeper and figured now was my chance. I wanted to focus on Pixar specifically, so I researched parts of their process and some of the programs that they used. Evidently, I did not cover everything because there's so much, but I at least got to learn about a fraction of what they do. I also wanted to do some animation myself and chose to pursue Maya. And just for some context, I've never used Maya before this, so the learning curve here was quite steep. When it came to learning bits and pieces of Maya, I actually had a lot of help from Mr. Cho, so shout out Mr. Cho. From him, I learned the bare bottom basics of Maya that I need to just survive, and I also learned about Mixamo and TurboSquid, which really helped me in the process. Since the animation I made is only 10 to 15 seconds long, I will show it here. So that's the animation. Then I have this 8 to 10 minute video where I talk about parts of the process and some programs that Pixar uses, and I will show the process bit of the video right now. Pixar starts with what we've been doing with our film projects. They make a storyboard. But unlike us, they do not have one person doing everything. They have story artists create rough drawings, then they pitch those ideas to the director and other story artists. The story artists act out the story as it's happening to take the people through the story one shot at a time. The writers then work with the artists and editors to put the drawings together into a reel, to get a feel for what the movie would look like and how frames would fit together. This reel would have a basic and foundational soundtrack accompanied by a scratch soundtrack and temporary dialogue. During this time, many changes are made, and they can go through 50,000 to 60,000 drawings per movie. After those initial sketches, we then go to concept art, which is done by the art department and production designers. The concept art is what we usually see when you're showing sketches of the characters. Their facial expressions, how they move, and this is usually used as a reference and just getting to know the character in general. This is followed closely behind by character design, which focuses on the character's costumes and how that relates to the plot and setting. You then have color strips, which are digital illustrations that sort of look like paintings that are used by animators to get a feel of where things will be located. This can help figure out lighting and schemes and mood for each frame. Next is modeling. When using a computer, the modeling artists take basic shapes of the characters, sets, and props, then mold them into the desired shape. There's also rigging, which uses movable skeletons within the characters so animators can move them how they wish. Afterwards, there's shading and surfacing, which is when you add texture and lighting to characters in the setting. This helps them appear more realistic or achieve the theme the animators are going for. If you're interested in seeing the rest of the research I did on Pixar's programs, feel free to check out my whole research video. It was cool to apply film knowledge that I had learned from this year, like storyboarding and the process of going from an idea to post-production, and seeing that translated over to animation was kind of I understand parts of it, but then there were also parts that were completely new. And it was just interesting to see those similarities. It was also just kind of fun to learn a whole new program, because it's essentially another programming tool that I can just continue to pursue now that I've seen it. Not that I know a lot about Maya, but I started. When I was first proposing this project, it felt pretty daunting because it was you're learning this whole new thing, and not only you're learning about Pixar, but you're learning about how to animate this very simple animation, but still something completely new nonetheless. And so I felt shoot, how are you gonna finish this? It all worked out in the end. As a closing of sorts, I definitely recommend, whether you're in film design or animation, to branch out to one of those other sections, because it's just cool to see what they're doing and what these people are, kind of low-key experts at, and then also just to take from what you've learned in your class, and then you can kind of apply that to something else. And I think that it can broaden your horizons, and then also just show you how some things aren't as different as you think, or maybe it'll show you that things are completely different. It's still good learning opportunities nonetheless, and at freestyle specifically, I think it's something you should definitely take advantage of. That's all I've got, and once again, if you want to see the research I did on Pixar's programs, totally check out the rest of my research video, and until then, thank you for joining me.